Also for all of our neighbors who sort of lent us their serving bowls and serving utensils. And I wanted to thank my Nana, who's currently in Florida, but she's been really supportive and giving me lots of donations. And I wanted to thank actually her and my grandparents. There you are. For sort of passing down their love for wanderlust and the world and the outdoors. And it's really inspired me to be the way that I am. And especially thanks to my mom and dad, who have put in more work than anybody to make this possible. And now my mom's going to tell you a little bit about the lunch, and then I'll get back to you.
This will be quick. I'm not even sure I need to So this is Seattle, and we recycle and compost every day. We're really trying to have a really low impact event today, so you don't need to clean up at all, but if you were going to be tempted to throw something in the rubbish, we're storing all of our stuff in the back. So there's a place for your paper plates that'll go in the compost. There's a place for any food waste you have. There's lots of food. If your table runs out of something, feel free to grab something off somebody else's table. We have Ziploc bags. Take your leftovers home with you, or take an extra tamale if there's one left and you really think they're excellent. So we've got that going on. For those of you who are looking for a restroom, they're through here. And there's a kids' room back in the corner where the Lion King is showing. If you have any other questions, you can just come and find me. There will be dessert served afterwards. And the reason there's water on the tables and there's water is we're doing a nod to how privileged we are to have clean water. We take it for granted every day. There are millions and millions of people around the world who don't have water to drink, and that's why we're going to serve water today. So I give you back to Katie, who has a couple more things to say, and enjoy. Thanks for coming.
So before I get started, I'd like to introduce a new friend of mine who actually went on the Southwest Africa trip back in 2013. This is Lindsay. So if Lindsay wants to come up here, and she's gonna just talk for a minute or two about her experience with the traveling school.
Hi guys. So my name is Lindsay Wilson, and I'm a current senior in Seattle. I went on a traveling school about a year and a half ago to Southwest Africa, and needless to say, it changed my life. So basically, what the traveling school is it's a school of girls who go around the world and travel and learn about what's happening in other countries, the impact that America has on other countries, the impact they can have on other countries, and it's a great program. So we travel on a big truck called Big Blue, and we would sleep in tents every night. We would drive to a campsite, unpack, set up dinner. We had a cook who would cook dinner for us. Maybe we would have a class in there, sit on the ground, learn some history. And so day-to-day life was very simple, and we would just get to hang out with the girls who were on the trip and learn from each other and learn from the teachers, which was amazing. So the classes that are taken at the traveling school are extremely unique because they're based on where the students are. One of my favorite classes was history because in South Africa they have an extremely deep history of the apartheid, and so we got to learn all about Nelson Mandela, for example, and then we went to his hometown, Kunu, and we got to meet his grandson. So that's just one example. We got to learn we got to see everything that was so important to the country, and that was becoming super important to us as we were traveling throughout the countries. A fun story I guess I want to share with you is we were always camping, and we were in this mountain range called the Drakensberg, and we went for our morning PE, which was going to be just a walk through the mountains, just like a half hour or something. And 10 minutes into the walk, some baboons start running at us, and all the girls are on this bridge, and they scream. One girl falls off the bridge, one girl scrapes her knee. It's chaotic, and so that's just the typical things that happen on the traveling school. And I am just super excited for Katie to get the opportunity to go and experience all those wonderful things. So, good luck.
So one of the questions I've been asked is sort of like why I chose to do this trip. Why did I choose Africa? Why did I choose a traveling school? And the traveling school actually has 3 different programs. They've got an African program, a Central America, and a South America program. And I really felt that I wanted to do the African program because I've just been fascinated with Africa. And it's got some of the world's most beautiful views and features like Lake Victoria and Mount Kilimanjaro, and some great animals. I know my little brother loves giraffes, so he's definitely looking forward for me to go there. But it's also the poorest and most underdeveloped country or continents on this earth. And Africa holds about 16% of the world's population, where 17 million people have died from AIDS, and 3,000 children a day die from malaria. And there are so many everyday problems that I feel a lot of people here don't even really think about. And I really want to be a part of the change that goes into helping the world and helping Africa become a better and safer place. And that sort of goes straight into, I want to tell you a story a little bit about me, which is when I was little, about 7 years old, I had this school project where I had to make a poster about an ancient civilization. And I chose ancient Mesopotamia, and as a part of it, I made a piece of art featuring some syllables of ancient Mesopotamian cuneiform. And it was beautiful, and I loved it, but on the second to last one, I made a mistake. And I either drew a line where there wasn't supposed to be one, or something, and I got frustrated and angry, and I hated it, and then I tried to fix it, and it got messy and sloppy, and I just wanted to throw it away and start all over again. And so before my mother could do anything about it, I picked up my Sharpie, and I scribbled over the whole thing. And at this point, I was crying hysterically, and angry and frustrated for being a stupid, sloppy 7-year-old girl who couldn't even write 8 freaking syllables of ancient Mesopotamian cuneiform. Well, anyway, that was sort of the first moment in my life where I remember calling myself a failure. And, failure is something that everyone feels at some point in their lives. It's a part of everyday life, and I feel like society has extremely high expectations for all of us every day to be exceptional. And we grow up with this fear of failure. We grow up defining sort of the difference between what's good and bad and what's success and failure. And we care about how other people see us. We care that whether people think that we're, successful or not. I think that everyone cares on some sort of level, some more than others, but we all strive to climb the social pyramid that we fall into, and no matter where we fall, we're always trying to climb higher and higher. And so that sort of made me think about, what is success? What does it define about a person? And what can you tell about someone who is successful? Now, I read a definition of success that basically explains it as, success measures accomplishment. Accomplishment is measured by results, and results are measurements of everything that we do. And I feel like that sort of brings out what I believe society's image of success is, which is basically power and wealth and praise. Now, when I was in elementary school, I knew that there's sort of a certain code that went around, which was you weren't smart unless you got 100% on all of your tests, and you weren't pretty unless that one person that you liked came up to you and said, "Yeah, you're pretty," and you weren't talented unless you kind of rubbed it in people's faces, and then they said, "Oh, you're talented." And I think the reason that I've sort of grown up that way is because we live in a world where people have a sort of an unnecessary need for external validation. We always need justification to say, yes, I am successful, and yes, I've done this or done that. And we always need that level of proof. A few years ago, I got this book called Where Will You Be in 5 Years? It was kind of a workbook, kind of a, just something to think about. And in one of the chapters, it talks about what success should be to you. And that's sort of the first time that I got the idea to do this talk, was because it's the first time that I sort of wrote down on paper that I think what society's image for success is crap. And it shouldn't be, just what everybody else says success is. Success should be whatever you make it. It should be, your life, your goals, your accomplishments, and not focusing on what anybody else around you is doing. And so I've sort of had a huge sort of diverse sort of education, and I'm so grateful for all of the experiences that I've had. But success doesn't come without a struggle, and I know that I definitely had some struggles on my path to success. I know when I first dropped out of school, there were some people who thought I was making a mistake, thought I was sort of throwing my life away because I was in a good school and I just decided to drop out and become homeschooled. And it wasn't necessarily that they, said it aloud or said it to my face, but I could tell by, the way that they talked to me or the questions that they asked. There was a level of sort of pity in their voice, like, oh, that's too bad. And one question I got asked a lot was, so what about college? As if, I couldn't go to college now that I dropped out, or as if, I wasn't planning on it because, I could never go to college after I dropped out of school. And so there were sort of these little things like that made me a little bit insecure about my decision. But it wasn't until later that I sort of overcame those little struggles. There were also sort of struggles with, keeping motivated, keeping up with my education, even though I wasn't in regular school. There was an issue of money. At one time I was working, 10 to 6 days a week to save up for my next adventure. But it definitely all paid off, and I especially hope that people see the value in my experiences. And one thing that a lot of people didn't when I first dropped out of school was they didn't see how much I was getting out of these experiences. And at 17 years old, I feel like I've learned a lot. I believe that life is as amazing, or is only as amazing or successful as you make it. And it should be, your own opinions, your own goals, and you're the one who has to work to make that happen. And I'd say for myself, I am successful. I'm successful because I've made some of my dreams come true. I've understood a level of sort of the world around me and the people in this world, and I have a passion to go out and try and change that, try to improve that, because I believe that what I'm doing now can improve the world and can improve the lives around me. And when I was 15, I dropped out of school. I started by hiking the Appalachian Trail, where I hiked in snow and 100-degree weather. I got to canoe the Shenandoah River, and I saw entire mountainsides that were like completely covered in wildflowers. And I saw a bear and wild ponies, and it was all just amazing. And after that, I went to Europe for 3 months, where I studied art and art history and architecture and English and literature. And I got to do things like walk through just the city of Berlin and eat macaron in the gardens of Versailles. And I got to ride the London Underground almost every day while visiting friends in Cambridge and Essex and Devon. And then last year I got my GED and recently started at Seattle Central College. And those are the things that I feel have built up my success in the future and have made me successful in the past. And so one of the questions I get asked sort of after that, or one of the comments made is, people always say like, oh, I wish I could do that, or, that's super cool, how are you able to do this? And for a while, I was, telling people, that they can do it, they can, if you've got the motivation and the commitment, you can get up and go out and do anything. But then, of course, they, shrug their shoulders and say, oh, I can never do that, or no, because of this, or because of that. And while there are lots of reasons, not to, work and school and friends, family, money, they should never be an excuse for not pursuing your dreams. And so I sort of started answering that question of, why me? Why can I do these things? What is it about me that makes me able to act on the opportunities that I've been exposed to? And I think the big reason behind that is that, most of it was my parents. They raised me, they taught me how to, understand the world. They made me sort of appreciate little things like, good Italian olive oil and fishing at 5 o'clock in the morning and watching the sunset over the mountains. And right around my 15th birthday, I sort of thought about that and thought about it again and said, well, it's about time that they stop taking all the credit, because I'm doing some of it too. And I realized how much of my experiences were because I chose to pursue them, and because I said, I want to do this, or I want to go this path or this way. And that's sort of one of the defining moments in my success, was because I was actively looking for opportunities. I was actively looking for ways to get back out into the world. I always try to explain to my friends that opportunities are everywhere. You just kind of have to sift through and find the right ones. And like I said, while there are lots of reasons not to, there are so many more reasons to commit to something and go out and do it. Like I said, it should be no excuse for, not pursuing what you're really passionate about. One of my passions is to explore the world. I want to see how the world works and meet people and, just explore the cultures that this world has, had for 100 years, and I want to see it all. My experiences that I've had are much more valuable than money or power or any of that. And I think that's one of my main messages, is that you should always focus on what's going to be lasting for you. And a lot of little things like, how much money you're making, or, where you want to end up being in life, it all depends on what you're doing right now. One of my favorite quotes, a friend actually posted it a few weeks ago, which was, there's a dangerous risk not living your life the way you want to on the bet that you can buy yourself the freedom to do it later. And I really agree with that sentiment. I really agree that, a lot of people say, after I save up this money, or after college, or after this, I just have to wait. I have to wait for the right time. And a lot of people end up not doing it, or never getting there, and it just sort of falls lower and lower on the priority list until you never end up doing it. And it's sad. It's sad when people don't end up pursuing the things that they really want to because of the things that they think will get them there. So I think another big message is that you should be acting now. And yes, you can't just go hop on a plane just to some random place. I mean, you could, but it does take some level of planning. But one of the things that made me able to do this is confidence, and sort of building yourself up so that nothing that anybody else could say could ever bring you down low enough for you to feel sorry for yourself. I think a lot of people end up getting confidence from other people just because they're always the ones saying, oh, you're smart, you're pretty, you're talented. But confidence is more about having 100% love and respect for yourself, inside and out. You've got to love your opinions, your values, your actions. It's actually a lot harder than it sounds, but it's true. You need to fully invest. I love myself, and nothing that anybody else can say can make me feel different about that. I know when I was in, 7th and 8th grade, I sort of just went along with everybody else. I didn't really know what to do. I just wanted to fit in and feel normal, and just sort of went along with everybody else because I didn't care enough to stand up to them, or I felt maybe weird and annoying and loud and a little bit crazy, but I cared so much about what they thought of me, and it sucked. I mean, just in general, that time really, really, really sucked. I was bored, I was unhappy, I didn't even really assess why, because I just was sort of flying under the radar. And I mean, now I'm still awkward and still loud and still weird and still annoying and still crazy, but now I'm not ashamed to be. Another one of my favorite quotes is that it's one of the greatest challenges in life is being yourself in a world that's trying to make you like everybody else. And I feel like a lot of people have that struggle, which is standing out when you don't really know what other people are gonna think of it. Sometimes I felt like I wanted to be just like any other girl. I wanted to, worry about makeup and boys and cute outfits. And of course I am a teenage girl, so I do care about makeup and boys and cute outfits. But I had a hard time of initially letting go of the jealousy that I had for, other girls. I was never the prettiest girl in the class or the smartest or the one that had the most money. I was average, and there were some times when I just, didn't feel like I wanted to be me. But that was sort of the peak of when I realized that jealousy is counting someone else's blessings instead of your own. And I realized how much I had, how much I should be grateful for, and that, I really wouldn't want to trade my life for anyone else's. And I think another sort of big reason to, assess where you're going and who you are and why you should love yourself is you should pay attention to the people around you, who you choose to surround yourself with. Because I know that, in every scenario you'll have people who support you 100% and people who couldn't care less. And your relationship that you have with people, define you as a person. Seeing how you treat others and seeing how people treat you, it builds up, who you are. And sometimes you have to put in the effort, you have to put in the time to connect with people. And I know that, my life's really busy and all my friends have busy schedules, but at some point we all find that time to reconnect with each other. And those are the most meaningful of some of the relationships that I have because I know that they'll be there for me. There was a time when I sort of felt shadowed by someone else because I didn't want to stand up to them. Not because I was, being bullied, but because I didn't want them to think badly of me. I had a friend who always made the decisions or always did this or that, and I wanted so bad to just stay the way that we were. But all this really did for me was, build a small self-esteem. And I realized that, life is too short to be spending time with the wrong people. And who you choose to surround yourself with, helps create your character. And I bring this up because, the relationships and the friendships that you have with people really tie into how successful you can become. Because I believe that, the stronger your sort of people skills are, the farther you're able to go. Another quote, I love quotes, where your true friends are not the people who stand by your side when you're at your best, but the people that stand by your side when you're at your worst. And I know that I've sort of been, like I said, I've been really busy, and I know my friends have been really busy, but I know that at some point we're all together and we can say, we're going to be friends for a long time. And there are other people where I can't say the same. Another big thing, sort of as a part of my road to success, was the fear of failure. And I don't think anyone should be afraid of failure. When you're growing up, you make little mistakes. Sometimes they end in embarrassment or uncomfortable silences, or it doesn't really matter what it ends with, but you have that sort of weird gut feeling of, I did something bad or I did something wrong. And one of the things my mom always tells me is that no one but you is going to remember that one really stupid, embarrassing thing you did in 7th grade. So all But bigger things like, you know, career paths or choosing schools or whatever, there's all some element of failure. And what I would say to that is you shouldn't focus on what you don't want to happen. You should focus on what you do want to happen and then see how you can work towards that goal. I think that positive thinking is sort of always the best way to go. Positive thinking is at sort of the forefront of every big success story. And success as a whole should be all about you. And it doesn't mean that you're, you know, not treating other people as equals. I'm saying that success should be focusing on who you are and where you want to go. It's not about money or power, or it's not something that can be given to you. Success is almost like a feeling. It's the feeling you have when you know that you've done something great, and that warm, fuzzy feeling you get when you say, oh, you know, I did that. And it's not the end-all, be-all. Success should not be that, you know, the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. Success is these little things along the way that maybe build you up for a greater success, which maybe is the end-all, be-all. And you can't be perfect. You can't be everything to everyone. And you can't stop bad things from happening. But you can sort of make the best from what you've got. Because I believe that doing something and getting it wrong is at least 10 times more productive than just sitting around doing nothing at all. You're here right now with unlimited possibilities and there are so many paths that you can take, and you've got the power to be able to shape your future. And I don't think that, I think that your desire for your passion and your life should far outweigh your fear of failure. Nothing should ever bring you down low enough for you to stop aiming for success. Each year, life sort of offers itself to us in an endless number of ways. There are endless opportunities and exciting new things to try and do. And I believe that you only live once. You only have this one life to love and laugh in, and you only have this one life to succeed. And I believe that the people who are crazy enough to think that